If you are in healthcare in a leadership role, your brain is wired for rapid decision making. You're managing crisis. It's part of your job. You're juggling policy changes and overseeing quality and safety in your organization. And you do it all with a steady face. But here's the neuroscience that you just can't ignore. When your nervous system is in a chronic state of hypervigilance or an overdrive, your cognitive performance will drop. That prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that's responsible for decision making and strategy and judgment and emotional regulation, well, it doesn't work the same when stress is affecting it in a prolonged manner. So what stress can then show up as or look like on the ground is that you become more reactive and less reflective. You may actually second guess yourself or suffer from imposter syndrome. You'll procrastinate decisions that you used to make really easily and second guessing those decisions even after you've made them. You might find yourself snapping at your team or completely zoning out at meetings. But here's the thing. When you are at work, because you're competent, because you're committed, you just keep delivering. So from the outside, everything looks great, but internally, you're completely depleted. And your nervous system knows it, your body knows it, even if you're not willing to admit it. I know because I've walked this path with you. I myself have been in healthcare for the past 30 years of my life, and I've suffered burnout a couple of times. The last one was the one that forced me, or rather pushed me into a career change or career shift into what I do now. But here's the thing is that on the outside, I was making six figures. I have a big house. I live in the suburbs. I've got the three kids. I was going to Disney. I was doing the California trips, doing all the things. And on the outside, looked very successful. And yet inside, I was crumbling, falling apart, and just feeling empty. If that sounds familiar. I don't want you to go away just yet. So why does burnout hide in those mission-driven people? This is the part that we don't really talk about enough. And that's that burnout doesn't always look like disengaging or completely giving up or like the crash and burn that everybody associates with this, right? And especially in healthcare and those kinds of professions, burnout can look like over-functioning or over-delivering or overcompensating. So you're still getting things done. You're still showing up every day. You're going to every meeting, still answering emails at 10 o'clock at night like I did. But behind the scenes, you're emotionally disconnected. You're not sleeping well. Maybe you're irritable at home. You're carrying it all, but you're quietly unraveling on the inside. And that's where I want to go even deeper in this. So for many healthcare leaders, myself included, the pattern of self-sacrifice didn't just start with the job. It starts long before that. And a high number of achieving leaders often come from very chaotic or toxic upbringings. Homes where they had to keep the peace, where they had to stay high performing, where they had to grow up fast. They learned that they had to be the one that could handle it, to suppress their own needs, to avoid conflict or chaos, or to keep the peace in the home. So when the system starts asking too much of them, it feels all so familiar, and they rise to meet it. They push down the pain because they've been trained to do that for decades. I did this for decades. In fact, that's why rest and peace often feels foreign to us, and we get kind of antsy and restless when things are quiet. And asking for help can feel like failure, or we might feel like we'll be exposed or somehow it will be ridiculed or what have you because of that. I know in my household, asking for help or showing any vulnerability meant more attack. That's why burnout or overworking can be so hard to identify, because the behavior that we will engage in can often look like massive success. So that's the reason why I created the Exhale method that I am curating and about to launch. It's not just about wellness, it's about leadership resilience. So I wanted to reframe recovery as a strategic lever for performance, because here's what I've learned in my own experience, but also with the leaders that I'm coaching currently and have coached in the past. When you regulate your nervous system, your decision-making will sharpen. Your relationships will improve. I cannot tell you how many executives I've worked with whose marriages are on the rocks because of work getting in the way of their relationships. They find themselves more creative, more responsive, more grounded, more centered. And here's the truth I wish more organizations would embrace. If your leaders are running on empty, you will never get the best of them or the people in your organization, no matter how skilled they are, unless you start to engage and practice in true wellness coaching or true wellness measures to support them as they feel more and more depleted in their roles. So inside the Executive Exhale method, we teach this practice not just as a concept, but as a way of recovering. So we build in those recovery cycles. We look at energy mapping. We look at bringing in tools like somatic work, like heart breath, to downregulate the stress response in the system, to downregulate the cortisol response. And we don't just treat this as a perk, right? This whole thing is about treating this as an essential leadership practice, like financial planning or performance reviews in your organization. And the other main reason why I developed this process or this method was because these are the things that I did to help myself out to recover from my own burnout. It wasn't really in this format when I started doing this, but it's curated based on the experience I had myself, but also on the experiences that I'm having with my clients and the kinds of things I'm helping them work through. And it's just a way of really guiding people through maybe a more structured program that allows people to kind of go from pillar to pillar to pillar in order to enable their own personal wellness and success story, because it is a very independent, very individual story. But I'm really passionate about bringing wellness to leaders because my perception is this, is that if we take care of you, or if you take care of yourself as a person, as an individual, everything around you changes, from the experience you're having at work to the perceptions of things around you, to the people that are responding to you, to the performance outcomes you're going to see in your life, to your relationships. Everything is impacted by this work. And if you're willing to do the work and willing to invest in yourself, or your organization is willing to invest in you, then I can guarantee that you will see some changes in a very short period of time working with me on this. Now, if any of these things resonate with you at all, I've developed a tool called the Leadership Energy and Stress Resilient Score, or audit. It's a quick and insightful way to assess your stress levels to see how they're impacting you as a leader and in your life. And this audit really helps to pinpoint where the stress is draining your energy, your focus, and your resilience. And I also provide some immediate relief measures that you can start putting in place to regain control today without a coach, without any other resource around you. It's a starting point, right? And this isn't about shame or judgment. It's just about raising your awareness about what's happening in your life and how stress is impacting you. Remember, you're not going to get rid of stress. It's never going away. The pressures are never going away. But how you deal with it and how you relate to it is where you can start making some shifts and really improve your life satisfaction overall. I want you to really understand and take in that you deserve to lead with clarity and strength, not just from a place of survival. So to get early access to this tool, just DM me or the word stress, or check a link down in the show notes, or even comment if you're watching this on YouTube or on a social media platform, because then I'll make sure that you get early access to this tool. It will be launched in the next week or so. And if you're watching this beyond this, it will be in the show notes down below. So take a look and you can click on it and download it yourself. So remember that recovery isn't a nice to have. It's required if you want to lead well and last long. Thanks again for joining me today. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, and remember to exhale.